Welcome to our video of the top 10 remarkable women who changed history with their courage and determination. And stick around, we will give in-depth details on Joan of Arc's incredible life and death. Joan of Arc had a real short life from 1412 to 1431. She believed she was sent by God due to visions and voices she began experiencing at age 13, which she attributed to saints. These visions instructed her to support the king and liberate France from English control, which she saw as her divine mission. She was a French peasant girl who claimed divine guidance. Joan of Arc led the French army to several important victories during the 100 Years' War, which paved the way for the coronation of Charles VII. She was accused of heresy for claiming divine visions, defying gender norms, and challenging church authority, threatening English interests and church hierarchy. She was later captured, tried for heresy, and burned at the stake. Boudica's birth name is not definitively known. Ancient Roman sources, mainly Tacitus and Cassius Dio, only refer to her as Boudica or Boudica, which is thought to mean victory or victorious in the Celtic language. And now we go way back. A woman named Boudica, also spelled Boadicea or Boudica, was born around 30 AD in what is now Norfolk, England. She belonged to the Iceni tribe, one of the Celtic tribes of Britain. Her exact birth date and early life details are shrouded in mystery, but it is known that she was of noble birth, likely growing up in a tribal setting where she would have been exposed to the customs, traditions, and martial culture of the Celts. Boudica married Prasutagus, the king of the Iceni tribe. Prasutagus ruled as a client king under the Romans, who had established their presence in Britain in 43 AD. But before you forget, subscribe and like to help us grow our channel. This relationship with Rome was somewhat tenuous, relying on mutual benefits and the autonomy of local tribes under Roman overlordship. Boudica and Prasutagus had the daughters, whose names have not survived in historical records. When her husband, Prasutagus, died around 60 AD, he left his kingdom jointly to his daughters and the Roman Emperor Nero, hoping to safeguard his family's position. However, the Romans did not honor this arrangement. Instead, they annexed the Iceni territory, confiscated the property of the leading tribesmen, and subjected Boudica to public humiliation. According to Roman historian Tacitus, Boudica was flogged and her daughters were raped, which served as the catalyst for her rebellion. Using this brutal mistreatment she suffered symbolized deep oppression and sparking rebellion. The revolt in 60 or 61 AD, while the Roman governor Gaius Suetonius Paulinus was campaigning in Wales, Boudica rallied the Iceni and neighboring tribes, including the Trinovantes, in a massive revolt against Roman rule. She emerged as the leader of this uprising, which sought to reclaim autonomy and exact vengeance on the Romans for their brutal treatment. Boudica's forces first targeted Camulodunum, modern Colchester, the site of a Roman colony and a symbol of Roman oppression. The city was sacked and destroyed, and its inhabitants were slaughtered. The Roman governor mobilized a small force to confront Boudica, but they were defeated. The rebels then marched on Londinium, now modern London, and Verulamium, now modern St. Albans, burning both settlements to the ground. Roman historian Cassius Dio provides an account of the final battle between Boudica's forces and the Roman legions led by Suetonius. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Romans were well disciplined and strategically advantageous. They chose a narrow battlefield that prevented the larger Britain force from using its numbers effectively. The Roman legions were able to hold their ground and eventually decimate Boudica's army. Tacitus claims that around 80,000 Britons were killed compared to only 400 Roman soldiers. Boudica's fate after the final battle is not definitively recorded, but ancient sources provide differing accounts. Tacitus suggests that she took poison to avoid capture, while Cassius Dio claims she fell ill and died. Regardless of the exact circumstances, her death marked the end of the rebellion, and Roman retribution was severe. Survivors were hunted down, and the Iceni territory was laid waste. Boudica's legacy endured through the centuries as a symbol of resistance against oppression. She became a legendary figure in British history, celebrated for her courage and determination to fight for her people's freedom. Her story has been romanticized in literature, art, and popular culture, serving as an inspiration for those who resist tyranny and fight for justice. But before you forget, subscribe and like to help us grow our channel. Emmeline Pankhurst, born Emmeline Gooden on July 15, 1858, in Manchester, England, grew up in a politically engaged family that supported her parents. Robert and Sophia Gooden advocated for women's rights and social justice, fostering Emmeline's awareness of these issues from an early age. At 15, she attended École Normale Supérieure in Paris, receiving an education rare for women in that era, which deepened her commitment to equality. In 1879, Emmeline married Richard Pankhurst, a barrister and champion of women's rights, including voting and property rights for women. Their marriage strengthened her passion for social reform and become active suffrage. Richard's sudden death in 1898 was a significant loss, both emotionally and financially. However, Emmeline remained dedicated to the cause of women's suffrage, channeling her grief into activism. In 1903, frustrated by the slow progress of the suffrage movement, she founded the Women's Social and Political Union WSPU. Emmeline led the group under the motto Deeds, not words, adopting militant tactics such as protests, hunger strikes, and civil disobedience to push for voting rights. The 1918 Representation of the People Act granted voting rights to women over 30, a partial victory that Emmeline saw as a significant step forward. She continued advocating for full equality until her death on June 14, 1928, shortly before women over 21 gained the vote. Emmeline's legacy as a fearless suffragette leader endures, symbolizing resilience and the relentless pursuit of justice. Her contributions are celebrated in memorials and statues, marking her indelible impact on the fight for gender equality. But before you forget, subscribe and like to help us grow our channel. Gabriella Seiling, born Maria Josefa Gabriela Carrico, March 19, 1731, in Kinyogan, Ilocos Sur, in the Philippines, emerged as one of the first female leaders of a Filipino resistance movement against colonial rule. Born to a poor Ilocano peasant family, Gabriella's early life was challenging, shaped by the Spanish colonial presence that dominated much of the Philippines, affecting local politics, economy, and social structures. She was known for her strong spirit and resolve from an early age, and was raised with the values and traditions of her Ilocano community. In her late teens, Gabriella married a wealthy older man, Tomas Millan, which improved her social status. However, her first husband died shortly after their marriage, leaving her a young widow. Gabriella's life would soon change significantly when she met Diego Seiling, a revolutionary leader who opposed Spanish rule. Gabriella and Diego married, forming not only a romantic partnership but a political one as well, as she became deeply involved in Diego's cause for freedom. Gabriella became Diego's trusted advisor and confidant, learning about military strategies and politics under his mentorship. Diego Seiling led the Ilocano resistance movement and opposed the abuses of Spanish colonial officials, especially the imposition of taxes and forced labor. Gabriella wholeheartedly supported her husband's revolutionary ideals and took part in his campaigns. She became a symbol of strength and resilience for the Ilocano people, admired for her bravery and dedication. In 1763, Diego Seiling was assassinated by one of his close associates, Miguel Vicos, who was bribed by the Spanish authorities. Devastated but undeterred, Gabriella vowed to continue Diego's fight. She assumed leadership of the revolution, rallying Diego's followers and mobilizing a substantial force to continue the struggle against Spanish rule. Under her command, Gabriella led several attacks on Spanish forces, becoming a fearless symbol of resistance. Despite her courage and tactical prowess, Gabriella's forces were eventually outmatched by the well-equipped Spanish army. In September 1763, she led a final battle at Abra, where she and her troops were defeated. Gabriella was captured and, on September 20, 1763, was executed by hanging in Vigan, Ilocos Sur. Her death marked a tragic end to her quest for independence, but her legacy endured. Gabriella Seiling is remembered as the first Filipina to lead a revolt against Spanish colonization. Today, she is celebrated as a national hero and an enduring symbol of resistance and female empowerment in the Philippines, with monuments and organizations bearing her name in tribute to her indomitable spirit. Rosa Luxemburg lived from 1871 to 1919. She was born on March 5, 1871, in Poland, then part of the Russian Empire, into a Jewish family. As a child, she faced discrimination due to her background, but excelled academically and showed early signs of political awareness. Her opposition to Russian authoritarian rule led her to join revolutionary circles as a teenager. At 18, Luxembourg fled to Switzerland to avoid political persecution, studying philosophy, history, and economics at the University of Zurich. In 1898, Luxembourg moved to Germany. She joined the Social Democratic Party and became a Marxist theorist. She opposed reformist socialism, advocating for a revolution to achieve true equality. She was an orator and writer, known for her critiques of capitalism, imperialism, and militarism. In 1914, when World War I erupted, she condemned the war and helped form the Spartacus League, a radical anti-war socialist group. In 1919, amidst political unrest, she participated in the Spartacist uprising in Berlin. Shortly after, she was captured by German paramilitary forces and brutally killed on January 15, 1919. Luxembourg's intellectual contributions and fearless activism made her a lasting symbol of revolutionary socialism. Jamila Boudica was born in 1935 in Algiers, Algeria, to a middle-class family. Raised during French colonial rule, she experienced the harsh realities of colonial oppression firsthand. Growing up, she became increasingly aware of the discrimination and repression suffered by her people, sparking a deep sense of patriotism. While attending a French school, she famously asserted, "I am Algerian," when her teacher asked who she was, a bold proclamation of identity that foreshadowed her future commitment to Algerian independence. In the 1950s, she joined the National Liberation Front, Algeria's revolutionary group fighting for independence from French rule. Trained in guerrilla warfare and sabotage, she quickly rose within the ranks, carrying out missions in the Battle of Algiers. Boudica's courage made her one of the FLN's most recognized figures, and she became a prominent target of the French authorities. In 1957, she was captured, tortured, and sentenced to death by a French military court. However, international outcry, driven by activist lawyers and supporters, led to her sentence being commuted. She was finally freed in 1962, when Algeria achieved independence. Boudica remains an enduring symbol of Algerian resistance, celebrated for her sacrifice, resilience, and unwavering dedication to freedom. Subscribe and like. And now our top story, Joan of Arc, narrated by my friend Mary. Thank you, and let's begin.
Exploring the life and legacy of Joan of Arc and the historic sites to visit in France. What is the historical context of Joan of Arc's story, and top places to visit for a deeper look into her life? The story of Joan of Arc is one of the most iconic tales in history. Born into a humble family in rural France during the 100 Years' War, her courage and determination have made her an icon of hope and strength throughout history. A reminder to never give up in the face of adversity. France is home to some of the most iconic sites related to Joan of Arc, the legendary French heroine who fought against the English in the 100 Years' War. These places offer a unique insight into her life and legacy. Number 1. In 1412, Joan of Arc was born in Domremy, a small village in northeastern France. Domremy-la-Pucelle. This is the village where Joan of Arc was born and raised. You can visit her childhood home, which is now a museum, as well as the Church of St. Joan of Arc, which was built in her honor. Number 2. In 1425, Joan begins to experience religious visions and hears the voices of saints, including Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. She was responsible for leading French forces to victory during the 100 Years' War, and is credited with inspiring a nation to reclaim its freedom. Her story is marked by visions and miracles, which have led many to consider her a saint. Joan's visions are believed to have guided her actions, providing her with divine guidance from God. She relied on visions from God that guided her decisions and actions. Joan of Arc's relationship with God was one of total trust. She firmly believed that her mission to drive the English out of France was guided by divine intervention. Number 3. In 1428, the English army invades France during the 100 Years' War, and Joan begins to believe that she has been chosen by God to help expel the English and restore the French king to the throne. Joan of Arc was a legendary French heroine, leading the army to victory against the English in the 100 Years' War. Through her courage and faith, she became an inspiration to millions, and her death became a symbol of hope and perseverance. She is a powerful example of how a single person can change the course of history. Joan of Arc was a remarkable woman who achieved numerous accomplishments in her short life, becoming a symbol of French national pride and unity. Her most important legacy is her dedication to justice and religious faith. She was only 17 years old when she began leading her country's army against the English in the 100 Years' War, and have made her a symbol of strength and resilience even today. Through her sheer determination and faith, she became one of the most influential military leaders of all time. Number 4. In 1429, Chinon. This is where Joan of Arc met with the Dauphin, Charles VII, and convinced him to continue the fight against the English. You can visit the Château de Chinon, where the meeting took place, and learn more about their conversation and its impact on the 100 Years' War. Joan travels to the court of the Dauphin, Charles VII, and convinces him to allow her to lead an army to lift the siege of Orleans. She achieves a decisive victory and becomes known as the Maid of Orleans. Orleans. This is where Joan of Arc played a significant role in the siege of Orleans. You can visit the Place du Martroi, where she led a successful attack against the English, as well as the Joan of Arc Museum and the Orleans Cathedral. What was Joan of Arc's relationship with King Charles VII? Her close relationship with King Charles VII was an integral part of her story and legacy, as it was their alliance that ultimately led to victory against the English forces. If you are enjoying the video, please subscribe to help me grow my channel. By May 1429, Joan of Arc was a remarkable figure in medieval history. Her bravery and determination helped turn the tide of battle, and ultimately resulted in French victory at Orleans. She is remembered for her courage and commitment to French sovereignty. The story of Joan of Arc has captivated hearts and minds for centuries. A young woman who dared to stand up against the English in a time when women were not expected to do so. Her courage and bravery earned her a place in history, culminating in the coronation of Charles VII as King of France at Reims on July 17, 1429. As a result, Joan's name has become synonymous with courage and determination. Number 5. In 1430, Joan is captured by the Burgundians, who sell her to the English. Number 6. In 1431, Rouen. You can visit the site of Joan of Arc's execution, the Joan of Arc Museum, and Rouen Cathedral in France to learn more about her incredible story. In 1431, Joan is put on trial by an ecclesiastical court in Rouen, accused of heresy and witchcraft. She is found guilty and sentenced to be burned at the stake at 19 years of age. From then on, her legacy has endured, inspiring generations to come. Number 7. In 1456, after a lengthy investigation, the Church declares Joan innocent of heresy and canonizes her as a saint. She is remembered as a hero for her role in France's victory against England and her influence on the Catholic Church. Joan of Arc's inspiring story continues to resonate with people today, demonstrating how one person can overcome great odds to fight for their beliefs. From her famous saying, "I am not afraid, I was born to do this," to her timeless advice, "Act, and God will act." Joan of Arc's words are as inspiring today as they were centuries ago. The French people underwent immense suffering with oppressive taxes and religious persecution under a centralized monarchy. Her gender made her a role model for women throughout history, inspiring them with her courage and strength. Joan's legacy has been interpreted in different ways throughout history, reflecting the changing values of various cultures. Number 8. Exploring the history and culture behind Joan of Arc through a museum in France. The historical Jeanne d'Arc Museum in Rouen, France offers an awe-inspiring tribute to the iconic French heroine, set amidst other historical landmarks close to its famous cathedral. Musée Jeanne d'Arc in Rouen is a remarkable museum dedicated to Joan of Arc. Number 9. Joining tours and events that celebrate Joan of Arc's legacy. Visiting the locations of her story is an unforgettable educational experience, giving insight into the time period.
Subscribe and like, and help grow our channel. Thank you for watching. Click the bell for updates on our latest videos.